What is the crack, lads? It's been a while since I made some sort of video, but I was looking at my YouTube channel a while ago. I say a while ago, yesterday, and yeah, I realized some people actually watched some of my videos, and I haven't made one for almost 2 years. I think it is, maybe. How long is it? So now is it's October now. So it's been about 2.5 years since I started. Um, I started learning MIA, or it was AJAT, and then it was MIA, and now I don't know what it is. But yeah, so I kind of wanted to get into talking about maybe my experience the last 2.5 years, what's kind of happened, trying to learn a language to a high level at that time. And so the last video I made, I think, last update I made was when I was a year into like serious study of Japanese. And at that time, that would have been March or April last year. And so the reason why I didn't make a video after that is because I basically wanted to just focus on what I need to do and what I want to do, and it didn't really matter. It didn't matter to me being part of a community or anything like that. It was like I need to just do what I need to do, and then you know focus on that and forget about everything else. So after I made that video, I studied Japanese super hard because I had to do the N2 test because I wanted to get in and do a master's in translation study. So basically, when I was living in Japan, I was teaching English, and I really liked living in Japan, but I just wanted to do something different, like something more challenging. And I was really into like learning language, and I was really into, media, because before I'd studied like film and art, and the media aspect mixed with language, which I was really into, was something I was really interested in. So that's why I wanted to do translation studies. But to do that, I had to come back to Ireland, and I had to do the JLPTN2 and pass that so that I could start my master's in September. So let's say March, April, I made that video. I had to do the test in July in London, which you just fly over from here. It's only an hour away. So I was just like reading super heavy. Like my days after that video, I would spend maybe 8 hours a day, like just listening to stuff, and like 2-3 hours a day reading, like reading, and just probably more than that at some stages, because I was just reading until I felt like travel sick, basically. And I did that a lot. And then when I did the N2 test, it was like no problem, like super easy. Got like a perfect score in listening. The grammar was like no. I think like the score I got was like 140 out of 180, which is like, I don't know what that is. It's like 75% or something, but it's more than 75% correct because the way they weight questions and stuff like this. Um, so yeah, that went well, and then I had to interview and go do my masters. Interview to get in to do my masters. Did all that. All that went well. Got into my masters. Also, all this time, so I was studying Japanese like super hard up until I got into my masters, and then obviously I had classes. I had to move. I had classes to do. But I spent a lot of time still studying Japanese, because what happens is you become like so focused on spending as much time as you can to make as much progress as you can, and like your ego gets tied to it, right? Because you're like, I have to get better, like I have to get like the same amount of progress again. I've got to continue and keep doing that, even though it's like a completely, like that period from like March to September was like at a pace that like you can't maintain unless you've got nothing else going on, and you're like, I don't know, like unhealthy. Like I gained, like you can even see in my like 1 year video, like I gained a lot of weight because I was like stationary a lot, like all day every day. So when I went to university, like I was doing my classes and everything, and it's like it was really good course, really really interesting. Like all my lecturers are like really high level translators, and they work in media. They translate novels, they translate movies, and everything like this, books, and so that was great. Like the course was fantastic, but for like the first 2 or 3 months, I was still just spending a lot of my time just studying Japanese. So, but then when it came to assessment time, I had to really like knuckle down and get all my work done, which I did, and that kind of reset me because I was like, oh, I've got to, I'm only in the university once. I'm only going to do this course once, hopefully. So I need to like invest as much time as necessary to get the most out of it. I really realized that, but it was a hard shift to make because you kind of develop this neurotic idea that you've got to spend as much time as you can getting as good as you can because that's what you've convinced yourself of, right? And that's like what everyone convinces themselves of. But then in kind of a good way, what happened was I did this, so I was in university and I was like working part-time, going to university, studying Japanese all the other time. And I'll go back to this. I might jump around a bit because it's a lot of information and I'm just like going to do this straight from my head rather than try and edit anything because I don't have any time to do anything like that. So around December time was like my first assessment, and I had decided what I would do is rather than let immersion suffer as much, I would let Anki suffer. So like leading up to like knowing that I would be like really really busy doing assessments and stuff in December, I kind of like stopped adding new cards to Anki because I knew like that will bring down the number of reps that I'll have to do in the subsequent weeks. And I would like not add cards for a while, and then after assessments, like I'd keep up on my Anki, then just keep reviewing what I had, and then after assessments when it would get like normal again and I had more time, I would slowly start adding more cards every day, and then rinse and repeat. When I knew I was going to be super busy, I'd stop adding Anki cards. So I haven't added that many Anki cards in the last year and a half, like compared with the first. I haven't added as many in the last year as I have in the first year and a half, but I don't know how many I have. I never check. It doesn't matter. You shouldn't really even check. There's no point. Like, just keep doing your Anki, keep adding your cards. Don't worry about it. Don't get neurotic. Yeah. So what was I going to say? So yeah. In December, I did my assessments. I'm still studying Japanese. Like my Japanese is better than it's ever been, because like my reading's gotten so much better and everything. So I think, oh, this is going to be like no problem. I'm just going to like do some freelance translation, easy peasy, no problem. Then I did a test. So you do like these companies or these agencies, they will have translation tests. So you'll get like some source text from a game. You'll have like no context of any of this. And you have to like translate like, I don't know, like 50 lines or 30 lines or whatever it is. And the thing is, the one I did was like a really difficult test. And I don't mean as difficult as in the Japanese was difficult. I mean, this company who produces games, it's like, they even say on their thing, we only choose like 1% of applicants or something like this. So like, you'd have to be like really experienced and know what you're doing to really get it. And I didn't get that one. But the experience of it made me realize that like the problem that I was having was not Japanese. It was not understanding the source text. It was the quality of the output. So like how good the English you're writing sounds, how fitting does it suit the characters, everything like that, the cohesion, how well does it sound. That's the problem. It's like the output. So after that, like I spent a lot of time, less time on Japanese and more time on like outputting English, so like more time practicing writing, more time, doing translation and getting feedback off my tutors, like what could I do better here, what do you think? And like you get really good feedback off these people because they do that every day. They like, a lot of these people are project managers, so they're just looking at, they've got translators working under them, they analyze and critique their stuff all day, so you're like just getting feedback that's like really really good. So I worked on that for a while. So I spent a lot more time on that every day than before. And then since then I haven't like failed a translation test. Everything I've gone for I've gotten. So it's, you have to do that. Like, you have to be pragmatic. You have to do what is best for your like path, going wherever you want to go, and like what you're trying to achieve. So yeah, so basically the last 9 months, the last year, the last 9 months, the last 9 months I've been spent a lot more time, working on translation skills, mainly outputting English, compared with the year and a half before. But it's been a really weird experience because, if you work on a game, for example, if you work on anything, but like if you work on a game, you've just got like documents full of Japanese text, like just thousands and thousands and thousands of lines. And you're just, every day you have to read through it. And it's not like reading through it to enjoy it or anything, like it's necessary. And it's a very different sort of reading because you're not thinking about reading so much as you're just reading it. Like, you're just reading it and reading it and reading it over and making sure you understand everything. It's just reading for meaning's sake. And like, that really improved my reading in a weird way. Like, I didn't expect it to, because you think, oh, I'm going to read this really difficult article or something like this, or I'm going to read this really difficult novel, that's going to really improve my reading. But I found that, like, reading through necessity, like, you have to read and you have to understand all of it pretty quick to be able to finish up on time and, have enough time to edit everything and all, means that your brain just has like this different switch clicked where you just have to understand all the meaning. And like, it's helped my reading a lot. I'd say if I spend time, it's weird, it feels like if I spent time reading novels and then making Anki cards for them, like 10 from a book every day, I'd have more vocab, I feel like. But I feel like I wouldn't be as comfortable reading. That's basically it. So that's weird. So yeah, and then last month I had to do my dissertation, which took up a lot of time and energy. So I've been working on like a ton of different like translation projects, and then also doing university work the last 9 months, since like basically January or whatever. So yeah, it's been a lot of work, but you know it's weird. It's weird because now I'm planning to go back to Japan, and now I'm kind of switching from, okay, there was a lot of university work and there was a lot of project work. Now you don't have university work anymore, so now you can go back to doing more Anki cards and stuff like that. And I think that's the most important thing, is like, I'm just in this for like the long term, so I'm not going to fall off, and there's a lot of people who've fallen off, and I think a lot of it comes from, I'm doing this because this is what I want to do every day, and it's like improving like my daily life, and I'm working towards goals that aren't just abstract, like they're tangible, like things that happen every day. Like getting to work on games, getting to work on light novels, getting to work on translating manga, like the real things that happened as a result of both learning Japanese to a pretty high level, and then being able to as well switch gears and say, okay, listen, I need to work on this skill as well, and then switch back. But it's always going to be like a balancing act. It's always going to go back and forth between things, and I think it has to, because otherwise there's like no one is going to like no one's going to care if you create some situation where you prove you're better at Japanese than them. Like, everything's going to be like a combination of skills that makes you valuable and useful and a part of some team, and the more you realize like, oh, what are my goals, what do I want to do, and just work towards that, like, and if learning Japanese is a part of that, then I think you'll find the motivation pretty easy to continue. What else did I have to say? So that's kind of like an update of where I am. Like, in terms of like comprehension and stuff like that, it's really hard to say what level it is. Like I said, I can read pretty easily. It's not hard for me to, it doesn't like expend energy like it used to. And especially with listening, because I was reading so much, I would still focus more on listening, because I still think listening is the most important skill. Like even if you look at studies, because we do studies on, if you're doing subtitle or dubbing, you have to do those for people who have hearing impairments. And there's like studies done on people who have hearing impairments and reading speeds. So you have to adjust the subtitles to deal with that, because people who have hearing impairments from birth and don't have that inner voice to quickly quickly generate kind of that inner voice while they're reading, have like significantly lower reading speeds. Like it's significantly more difficult for them to read at the same speed of someone who does have that ability to just recall the sounds in their language. So it's like it all feeds back into each other. And then I've gone on a tangent there, but basically like listening now is like I can just listen to a podcast or something like that and it's zero effort. Like there's definitely like going to be like one, if I'm listening to a podcast for like 2 hours or something, there's going to be like one or two sentences where I'm like, what did they say? Like I don't really, like, did he say this or did he say this, or like I don't know that word, but like in English you get that too. So it's like just make a card for it or whatever. But it's like it's so low energy now to listen to stuff like that. It's like I was like cycling before, listening to like a Netflix murder documentary in Japanese. Just like it's not a problem, but it's hard to say. Like people are, it's weird, like because you see like I said, I was looking at my like YouTube videos again, and what came up was like the people years ago who like were doing immersion for like a year and a half and 2 years, and they do like their introduction video. And like looking at it now and listening to them, I'm just like, yeah, like maybe you did think you were better than you are. To be honest, that's probably a bad thing to say, but like if after a year and a half or 2 years you're not finished, like you should be in this for much longer. If you do this for like a year and a half or 2 years and you quit, like you've quit before you get to like that really like good level where you can really say I'm better than 99% of people have ever been. Because I've met some people outside of the language learning communities online who are like so good in some ways. Like I've seen people who just studied traditional ways, but for whatever, I don't know what they do, like I don't know what their secret is, but like they're like some of the stuff they're pulling out of their heads when they're making sentences is like really impressive. And they're not online. There's always bigger fish. What was I going to say as well? Yeah, so talking about like stopping making videos after whatever time I did after the 1 year. Like I didn't even want to make that 1 year update because I'd really focused on like not worrying about what anyone else is doing, and why should anyone else really care what I'm doing? Do you know what I mean? It's like just do your own thing, and if doing this every day isn't interesting for you without the reward of other people's feedback and stuff like that, I don't know if it's even feedback, it's like the knowledge that other people care what you're doing. If you need that, then I thought that's your motivations are wrong. So I stopped doing that. And like a lot of it is as well, I think most people are the same, like I don't know if there's anyone who's been studying like that for years and years and years and still makes update videos, because like you just realize that yourself. So even like with, I don't even really want to go into this because I haven't even followed any of it, but like math and everything is they've like dissolved the brand, like MIA is not a thing anymore. But like, you know, it is like, in a way, it's like you should realize that the community is just a thing to get you started, and maybe interact every now and then, and that's really it, you know, really to get you started, to really go from like 0 to 1, 0 to 10 or whatever, and then you can just keep going yourself, because at a certain point you're going to have to do that, and you can't rely on the motivation of other people like motivating you to continue. Like, you're just going to have to eventually do it yourself. And there's tons of communities out there, you know what I mean? Like, look at the DJT guys. Like, some of them are like nuts good, you know, and they're, you know, basically doing like very similar things, you know, and they're like super good, and they're just, you know, online, not even talking about it really, just like, yeah, that's just what I do. Obviously, like, why would we talk about it? That's just what we do. And I think in a lot of ways that's the right attitude to have if you want to be doing it for a long time. Like, you just have to have, your motivation should be obvious to yourself, and you never have to really search for motivation from other people. That's basically what I'm saying in a very long-winded way. Yeah, I guess that's it. I don't really know what else to say. Just some people, yeah, I saw my YouTube videos and I saw some people had watched them, and I thought, geez, the one I made was a while ago now, and a lot's happened since then. So I guess from now, yeah, I haven't really been practicing outputting much, because I just had no time. I was so busy with everything. But I'm planning to move back to Japan next year, like in the springish time, I think. So I'm going to start practicing outputting. Now I'm going to have to study like writing business emails, and like more formal Japanese and stuff like that. Even though I know some of it, like, it's just, you're gonna have to get one of those, you know, one of those books that they sell on Amazon for like new graduates who are moving into companies. I'm gonna have to get one of them and do all of that. And that's really it. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. So yeah, this was just like a very quick update video I wanted to make. And yeah, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, just ask and I'll try and answer, I guess. Okay, thank you. See ya.